Do subscribe to Ekeeda channel and press bell icon to get updates about latest engineering, HSC and IIT JEE main and advanced videos.
Hello students, today we are studying chapter plant growth and development. In that we will be studying topic today growth curve. We all while growing up, how do we judge that a person is growing? You all saw the height, right? A 1-year child will have smaller height and a 10-year child will have greater height. So the height difference told us that the children are growing. Similarly, in plants there is something called as growth curve. Today we will be studying growth curve and see how plant actually grows. Growth curve. The rate of the plant growth is not always constant. For example, if you have potted 2 rose plants, both the rose plants are going to grow similarly. Do you all think so? Is that possible? No. Every other plant, whether they are from the same species, grown at the same time, will have different growth rates. And this is nothing but growth curve. Sometimes some plants grow faster, some plants grow slower. Now this growth is decided by the nutrients, by the sun, by the conditions, of course. But there is something called as growth curve, which decides the growth of the plant. The slower the growth curve, the slower the plant will grow. And the faster the growth curve, the faster the plant will grow. Growth curve is basically entangled, or you can say summarified into 4 different phases: lag phase, log phase, stationary phase and the death phase. So lag phase. Lag phase is nothing but initial growth of the cell or the initial days of the plants, when the growth rate is very slow. If I take a seed, I can say that the seed is in its lag phase, just starting to grow. When you plant a seed in the soil, the lag phase has started basically. Then comes the second phase, which is log phase. Log phase. During log phase, what happens is cell division takes place, and we all know if there is a cell dividing, the growth will increase. Basically, during log phase, mitosis happens, that is continuous cell division. And children, you all know that during log phase there will be rapid elongation in the plant growth. The third phase, the stationary phase. If I say you all are stationary, what does that mean? Stationary means being at a place, full stop, silent. During stationary phase, what happens to the plant is all the cell division process has almost done. The plant is almost grown its floral buds, stems, roots, branches, leaves. It's almost ready. And during stationary phase, the plant is just cheesed. Basically, it is waiting for its reproductive phase to come. That's stationary phase, being silent. During stationary phase, reproduction happens, that is reproduction which is sexual happens, fruits are produced in the later part of the stationary phase. Finally, the end of the journey. How a human being dies after they complete their lifespan, similarly a plant will also die, and that phase is called as death phase. This is the phase at the end of the plant life, where plant has grown from a small seedling to a big plant, and after the whole phase comes the death phase, where the plant completely dies off. Growth curve. The rate of plant growth is not always constant. We all know that. As two different children grow differently, whether they belong to same family or they are siblings. Similarly, 2 different plants of same species will grow differently, and that's growth curve. Sometimes some plants grow slowly while others go fast. Growth curve is basically divided into 4 different parts: lag phase, log phase, stationary phase and the death phase. This diagram represents the various phases of growth. As the number of cells increase, it means when the plant is continuously dividing, is it in its mitotic phase. Lag phase comes. After that, what comes is log phase. The peak or the plateau is basically stationary phase, and where the plant growth is cheesed. And then slowly comes the death phase. So with increasing number of cells in a plant, the phases continuously change in a plant, and this is growth curve. The four phases of growth curve are lag phase, which is the initial phase of growth when the growth rate is slow. The plant has just started. Then comes the log phase. Cell division takes place. Basically, mitotic cell division takes place. Rapid growth phase takes place due to mitosis. As we all know, when mitosis will happen, obviously children, the cell number will increase. Next comes the stationary phase or the cheesing phase. During this, cell differentiation takes place. Somebody becomes parenchyma, somebody becomes collenchyma, xylem, phloem, all of them are formed. And the growth rate slowly stops or cheeses down. And the final phase, the death phase. During this phase, the plant stops its catabolism, anabolism, metabolism, and the cell cycle eventually stops. So students, in this part of the chapter, we have studied the various phases of growth. I hope by now you all are clear what are the various phases of growth and how are they determined. Thank you.